So in this video, going to go over NVVE, one of the top gappers this morning, also pretty small float, a little over $1 million. So they released this news, which is actually a follow-up to a contract they got a couple days ago. Just in this case, they're providing some more details on this $400 million contract. So it's a really catchy headline, but generally there's a lot of conditions to actually getting the full contract. So it'd be interesting to see the AK if they provide more color on that. But I'm always skeptical of these. And nonetheless, it's still a catchy headline for sure. Interesting that it didn't do anything because they did mention $4 million, I believe, in a couple days ago, and it didn't do anything. So that's kind of interesting. Looking a little bit further, we can see that they are in need of cash. They have been raising small amounts, as you can see here, over the last few weeks, only a few $100,000 at a time in private placements, and then using their shelf, which they have $1.3 million. They also have a convertible note here, 340, some warrants, also 378. And the interesting thing about these is actually, if you can see from the insights, they just got approval for these. So actually, even though they were issued and registered in November, they couldn't do anything with them until really a few days ago, because they have to for the company to be able to issue amount of shares that are more than 20% of their outstanding shares, they need to get shareholder approval. So they just got this a few days ago. So we can already see a potential agenda here. Now, looking further, we can look at the chart history. So I'm going to historical charts here and see what it's done. The last gap wasn't back in September, I guess, was the last gap. So we can kind of take a look at what it's done, pop out the open. This was a 82% gap. You can also see the news around the time of the gap, just to see if there's anything similar. You can see it's popping and dropping at least this last couple times. It also obviously it looks like it has halt potential, and these couple times it's halted. So something to be aware of early on. Here's a couple other ones. This one, I'm not sure if it halted there, but it looks like it tends to spike out the open. But we also see that it does, at least the last couple gaps, seems to fail pretty quickly. So because you have that kind of repeated behavior, at least the way I would look to trade this is, especially with that dilution in play, generally the higher it opens, the better, because those note and warrant holders will often use that opening volume to short the stock. And I guess real quick, to take a step back, the other thing to keep in mind is that these warrants and convertible notes have full ratchet protection. So that means that likely the price was adjusted to when they did this offering down at 265 was adjusted to that price. So they're even likely lower now. They didn't confirm it in filings, but it's most likely lower now. But yeah, I guess going back to how I would approach this is I would look for something similar. Obviously being careful to not be early because of the halts, but looking for it to fail by, around like a 10-15 cutoff time. And then if it's holding over that and churning volume, I probably personally wouldn't do anything with it on the short side. And I know some people, probably not me, would even switch bias and look for a long in that case, if it's exhibiting unusual behavior. Because if there's enough volume, then it'll be enough to, I guess, overwhelm any dilution. That's why volume is really important with these types of plays.